Hi YUSA members, I'm Sunny Day and I'm going to talk to you about taking an unpaid leave of absence, sometimes known as an Article 20 leave. So what is this? Well, basically you take time off from work, you don't get paid, but you get to come back after you're finished your leave. So normally an unpaid leave of absence can be for up to 12 months. And in that case, your department head has to approve it. If it's more than 12 months of unpaid leave that you want to take, then the Assistant Vice President of Human Resources would have to approve that. Now, if it's up to 12 months, you get rights back to your job, right? So after you return, they hold your position for you and you just go right back to the job that you were in before. If it's more than 12 months, then when you come back, you would get basically 3 months of internal posting rights where you could apply for another job. But there have been circumstances where people have taken a longer than 12-month leave of absence and have had their job held for them. But you need to get that approved by your manager, and also the union would have to approve, and they would have to do that in writing before you took your leave. Now this is different than if you apply for a temporary one-year position inside of the university. If you apply for a temporary position inside of the university, Article 12.05 already allows you to go and sort of take a leave to go into that job and then come back to your current job. So you don't need to use Article 20 if you're applying for another 1 year or less position inside of York University in Unit 1. So what can you use this leave for? Well, the collective agreement says you do have to tell your manager the purpose of why you're taking this leave, but there's no necessary restriction on why you're doing it. So if you want to take a year and backpack across Europe, you can do that, right? Some things people have done is, they wanted to take a course, like a 1-year intensive course, so they took time off to do that course and then came back. There's also been people, they've taken a 1-year position at a different employer, and this is a position that they wanted to learn from and take those skills that they learned and bring it back to their department. So they've taken unpaid leave at York to go with that other employer and then come back for that temporary contract. How much detail you provide is up to you when you're telling your manager about this, but I think it's good to tell the manager why you're doing it and how that can be a benefit to the department or to you when you come back from your leave. Now, does your manager need to approve this leave? So the contract, what it says is, departmental operating requirements shall be the major consideration in granting or denying the leave, which shall not, however, be unreasonably denied. So basically that means if the department really, really needs you for some reason, then they can say no. So let's say you work in a kind of specialized job and you're the only person who can do it, and if you were to leave, it were to cause this huge disruption to the department, your manager may have a basis for saying no. But if you ask and they say no, then I would say contact the union, and we can look into it and see what we can do to help you. Now, how often can you apply for the leave? Well, normally you can do this once every 3 years. So if you took a year off on an unpaid leave of absence, normally you'd have to come back for 3 years before you could apply for it again. So how do you actually do it? Well, it's pretty simple. You would just have to send an email to your manager, and you have to give them at least 20 working days notice before you intended to begin your leave. And the more notice you can give them, the better, obviously, so they can plan. And just let them know, hey, I want to take a leave under Article 20 of the collective agreement, and here's when I want it to start, and here's when I want it to end, and this is why I'm taking it, right? And then they will have to respond to you. Could you come back early? So let's say you're on the leave. Let's say you applied for a year leave of absence and you are backpacking through the middle of Europe and you decide, you know what, I really miss York University. It's only been 6 months. Oh, I want to come back. Can I do that? Yes, you can. So if you're on the leave, you want to come back early, you just need to send another email to your manager saying, hey, I've decided to come back. You need to give them 20 working days notice. So you give them 20 days notice, and then you'll be able to come back basically at the end of those 20 days, even if you had originally requested a longer leave than that. Now, so people wonder what happens to my benefits during the leave. So You do get to keep your benefits, but you have to pay the premiums. And the amount of premium you have to pay depends on how long your leave is. So if it's up to 3 months, so if your leave is basically 3 months or shorter, then you would just pay your employee portion of your benefit premiums, but the employer would pay their portion. After 3 months, you have to pay both the employee and the employer portion of your benefit premiums. And if you want to know how much that's going to be, you can contact the Pension and Benefits Office. You can just email askpb@yorku.ca and they can tell you. But if you want to get a rough idea, you can just look at your pay stub and you will see what the employee and employer deductions are, and that will give you a rough idea of what you'd have to pay. If you don't want to have benefits during your leave, you don't have to. You can elect to pay nothing, but then you would not be covered for any of the benefits. People also wonder what happens to your seniority. So up to 3 months, you continue to accrue seniority, but at the 3-month mark, it basically gets frozen. So once you come back, you would have 3 months seniority, but not beyond that. Okay, if you have any other questions, feel free to contact the union office. I'm Sunny Day, and thank you for listening. Thanks.